Hello, and welcome to week 5 of our Trauma Informed Yoga for Better Sleep series. Today, the props that you may wish to have handy are either your long, thin scarf, or a strap or a belt of some kind. You may also wish to have one, maybe two blocks handy for deeper stretches. And last but not least, you might want to have a pillow that you can use for extra support. If you want to put on your playlist, you can go ahead and get that started. And welcome yourself to this sacred space and sacred time. I invite you to settle in, coming to your comfortable seated position. You may wish to close your eyes if that feels right to do today, and begin to connect with your breath. You may notice how you are breathing, and then invite your breath to expand more fully and completely, filling up your belly, your heart space, and taking slower exhalations here. Feel free to have hands in your lap or on your knees, palms facing up or down. And today our focus is going to be on the Yin style of yoga for betterment of the mind. And in Yin yoga, we hold postures anywhere from 30 seconds up to 5 minutes in order to get into the connective tissues of our body, deeper than the muscles even, and into the ligaments, joints, and fascia. And not only does Yin Yoga benefit the body, but it helps us to calm and refocus the mind. So through our practice, we will not only be moving and breathing here, but practicing guided meditation, reflection, and focus, bringing our attention to the moment and to the body. So from here, I invite you to bring one hand over your heart and one hand over your belly, continuing to expand through your breath. And with these longer holds that we'll be practicing today, you may notice that your mind likes to wander, especially if you've experienced any anxiety or an overactive mind or nervous system. And through this practice, it will be truly a practice of refocusing the attention inside to this moment, to your body, to your breath, and to meditation. So you're welcome to bring the hands to the knees from here, and at your time begin to sway side to side, just taking the rib cage to the left and to the right. Feel free to pause on one side and then the other if that feels good today. And then you might begin a seated cat-cow, opening the heart, opening the throat, and then rounding the shoulders forward, tucking the tailbone in. Doing that one or two more times. Inhale to expand the heart. Exhale, round the shoulders, tuck the tailbone. Good. And whenever you feel complete here, you might take a couple of shoulder rolls, taking shoulders up towards the ears and down the back, and forward, back, and around. You may also wish to bring fingertips to shoulders and do circles with your elbows, just broadening and opening the shoulders a little bit more here. And then begin to take your hands behind you, intertwine the fingers, lift the throat if that feels safe, or you can keep the head level. You might even tuck the chin here. Just notice what feels better in your neck as you draw the knuckles down and back. Feel free to get a couple of semicircle motions in the head and neck to stretch out the neck here. So taking your chin perhaps from one shoulder to the other. Noticing that stretch happening in the sides of the neck. You might even take it to one side and pause, perhaps drawing your ear to your shoulder. When you feel complete, you can bring your hands forward. And from here, we're going to switch whatever leg's in front in your seated space. And just begin that rocking side to side again in the upper body. Notice how that feels today, how you're showing up, how you're doing. And then you might begin to move that rocking motion into circles, just circling around the tailbone, following your pacing and rhythm today, listening inside. You might reverse the direction of your circle. And then begin to settle in back to stillness and release your right ear over to your right shoulder. Opposite arm can come straight out to the side or even wrap around the low back. Take another breath in and out here. Pause as long as you need. And when you feel complete, you can switch sides. And from here, begin to drop the left ear to the left shoulder. Right arm can stretch out to the side or come around the low back, palm facing out. Notice how this side feels similar or different than the other side. And just give yourself this loving, nurturing posture. From here, we're going to inhale, lift the arms up, press the palms together, and bring them to the heart center. Good. And then begin to take your feet, draw the soles of the feet together, coming into a butterfly, readjusting anything you need, settling into the sits bones. You might even wiggle your toes before folding forward and hinging from the hips. And from here, we're going to pause. If you need any blocks to help support your knees, you're welcome to get those. You can also place one or even two blocks underneath your forehead just to help support you in this fold. And you can round the back body as much as you can today. Release the head and neck. In whatever variation you find yourself in, begin to steady your breath. Begin to notice what you notice here. In the book, Hope for the Flowers, the author says about one of the main butterflies, one of the main characters of the story, who is deciding whether to become a butterfly in this new journey. And her name is Yellow, and it says, Yellow decided to risk for a butterfly. For courage, she hung right beside the other cocoon and began to spin her own. Imagine, I didn't even know I could do this, she said. That's some encouragement that I'm on the right track. If I have the stuff inside me to make cocoons, maybe the stuff of butterflies is there too. And in another piece of the story, one of the other butterflies says, Tell me, sir, what is a butterfly? It's what you are meant to become. It flies with beautiful wings and joins the earth to heaven. It drinks only nectar from the flowers and carries the seeds of love from one flower to another. Without butterflies, the world would soon have few flowers. I invite you just to notice and to remember that you too not only have the stuff of cocoons inside of you, but the stuff of butterflies, of transformation, and of purpose to offer yourself and the community and world around you. When you're ready, you can lift from your fold and take any props to the side. We're going to stretch out the right leg, tucking in the sole of the left foot. And feel free to point and flex your right foot, perhaps even roll your ankle or windshield wiper your foot side to side. Just getting that motion in the foot and the ankle and the heel. And when you're ready, you can begin to take a nice big side stretch over to the right side, opening the heart, breathing towards the side body. Your opposite arm can reach above the head, or you can have your left hand on your hip. Another option is to take your scarf or strap on the sole of your right foot and just begin to incline the body over to the right side. Whatever feels better for you here. One final option is to release your right elbow to stacked blocks. And we'll be here for several breaths, so just begin to take the variation that feels right for you. Continue to anchor through both sitting bones. To breathe. And when you're ready, you might begin to open the heart a little bit more, draw your left arm up and over, and then draw a couple of big circles in the left arm. And use that arm to guide you up as we begin to face over the right leg, making a twist here. And then begin to fold at your time, folding just as much as feels right today. Couple more breaths here. And when you're ready, you can lift up from your fold and slowly begin to switch sides. So you can stretch your left leg out long, settle in the sitting bones. And just like we did on the other side, you can point and flex your foot. You can also roll your ankle or windshield wiper your foot side to side. And a little massage in the heel. And then you can take any variation as you move into this deeper side stretch. Once again, maybe your right arm comes up and over your head. You might even bring your right hand to your right hip. Or you can bring your blocks or your scarf or strap over, taking a stretch with either of those. Pause for several moments here. Notice where you're feeling this stretch. And as always, notice with non-judgment, with compassion and with curiosity. There may be times you need to back off of the stretch a little. There may be times you wish to fold a little deeper into the stretch. So know those options are always available to you. This is your practice. When you're ready, you can use your inhale to lift you from this fold. Exhale to a twist over to the left side. Lift through the crown of the head and then slowly walk your way down into a fold. You might notice the stretch in the back of the hamstring, in the back body, and then you can begin to rise from this fold and begin to take any props to the side while at the same time reaching for your pillow if you have that, if you would like to use it underneath your hips. Now you can also sit straight down on the hips if your hamstrings are tight. I invite you to take a pillow or a blanket under your sitting bones. And we'll take the legs out in front, and just as before, begin to roll the ankles, point and flex the feet. You might even windshield wiper your legs and toes side to side. And then you can begin to reach for your scarf or strap and take it around the soles of both feet as you walk yourself down into a fold. Begin to settle in here, noticing that space where you're stretching more than you might normally, but you're not doing it to the point of strain or force. Just finding that space. And as we hold this form, the invitation is to notice how your body is feeling here. And just like in the former postures that we held for longer periods of time, you may wish to back out of it at some point. You may wish to fold deeper at some point. You may even just allow your hands to rest on your thighs, your shins, or the floor beside you. Allow your head and neck to release. Continue to remember your breath here. And to allow yourself to be supported. You may begin to picture yourself seated by a stream or a brook, bubbling over rocks and pebbles. And you might just notice in your mind the temperature of this space around the stream, what you hear and smell and see. And any time that a thought comes to your mind, you might just release that thought, imagining it as a leaf or leaves on the stream, allowing each thought or leaf to float down the brook seamlessly, effortlessly. And these leaves may all be the same color, such as the green of a summer month, or they may be fall colors, reds and yellows, oranges, different hues. You are also welcome to instead, or in addition, picture yourself on the shore of an ocean, breathing in the salt air, feeling the breeze coming off the waves, and allowing these thoughts to be seashells. Some roll up and some roll back into the waves, just allowing them to take their natural course here with nature. Not feeling the urge or need to grasp any one, except maybe one that could be a treasure. When you're ready, you can begin to stack the vertebrae and sit up, taking any prop that you used over to the side, and then bringing both legs over to the left side in a 90-90 or mermaid form as you take the rib cage side to side once again. From here, we'll twist over to the right side, bringing your left fingers to the knee, and then begin to switch sides, walking your legs over to the right, 90-90 or mermaid, and gaze over to the side. Full breath in and out here in your twist. And then begin to shift the legs back forward. If you used any props, such as a pillow under your sitting bones, you can take that to the side. And then begin to come over onto your knees. So just standing up on your knees for a moment to transition over to tabletop, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. You can tap out your feet here. You can roll through the balls of your feet, kneading them side to side, and do that a couple of times, tapping out the tops, kneading through the balls of your feet. If you need a counter wrist stretch, you can just place one hand on the back of the hand, pressing it gently into the mat, and doing that on each side. Good. We'll come back to that tabletop. Feel free to take hips side to side. And then once you feel complete there, I invite you to come to a place of stillness through the center and begin to walk the hands forward as far forward as they'll go today as you melt the heart and sink it down. If you need, you can place a block, maybe even 2 blocks stacked underneath your forehead as you reach forward in this heart melting posture. You're going to lengthen through the spine here and breathe towards the side waist. Explore your options in this form. And just allow the heart to expand, the forehead to rest, the hips to point up. And if you ever need any areas of release, you can explore uncurling the toes or walking your hands back to where your arms are resting more on the forearms and your elbows are slightly bent. This will give you a little bit more support in the upper body. Take your time here to breathe. Feel free to have palms up or down. And on your next inhale, you can begin to walk your hands back and exhale to sit the hips down and back, moving into child's. Palms can be down, up, or pressing together here. You can also lift above your head if you prefer. Allow this posture in child's to be grounding and nourishing, to be a place where you can center and release. Take your time here and allow yourself just to be supported. Give yourself permission to simply be and breathe, remembering that this is enough. This breath is enough. This moment is enough. And allow yourself to receive the grace and compassion that is offered to you through loving kindness, through tenderness, and through taking care of yourself. Remember to thank yourself for showing up, for being here. And remember that you are stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and braver than you believe. Kristen Neff shares there are 3 components of self-compassion, and those are self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. I invite you to notice which of those 3 components you might need the most today, whether it's a kind word to yourself, releasing of judgment, whether that's knowing that you are not alone in your experience, that people have gone before and people will come behind. And that even through this video being practiced by different individuals through different life experiences and circumstances and backgrounds, we all have a shared collective experience, a similar like-mindedness. And I invite you to notice and to take time to speak those words of kindness, to remember you're not alone, and to take time to allow any emotions and thoughts and internal experiences for you to be, not needing to be fixed or faded or repressed, but to be a part of your lived experience, mindfully accepted as you breathe in and breathe out. It's okay that you feel the way you do. It's okay to meet yourself exactly where you are. As you become ready, you can guide your hands over to the right side, getting a side body stretch here in Child's. You might even place your left palm gently over the right wrist. Lengthening through the side body, allowing the low back to release as much as it can today. And then you can begin to walk your hands through the center and over to the left side, either reaching both hands to the left or, once again, gently placing your right palm over your left wrist. Allow your forehead to rest, your neck to release, and then you can begin to guide yourself back through the center and up, returning to a seated space. And we'll start by coming into hero's form, sitting the hips back on the heels, knees close together and pointed forward. Toes can be curled under or uncurled, depending on what feels better for you. Reach through the crown of the head, and then you might place both hands over your heart, with one hand resting on top of the other as you tuck your chin down towards the chest and then lift it back into the air. You might do that a couple more times, lowering the chin, following your breath as you then lift the chin. One more time. From here, we'll bring hands together at the heart space, palms touching. And then with an inhale, you can begin to reach the arms up. Exhale, intertwine the fingers and press the palms towards the sky. From here, you might lean over to the left side. It's okay if you release that left hand down to the floor if it's uncomfortable. And then we'll come back through the center and lean towards the right side. You can keep fingers intertwined or release the right hand down. Back through the center, reaching up. Exhale, arms come down to the sides. And then from here, we're going to uncurl the toes if they're not there already, sitting back on the heels again. And begin to bring your hands into your lap, palms facing up. Or if you wish, your hands can rest on your belly or on your heart. Take a full breath in and out here. And as you do so, you might find a nice big shoulder roll before walking your hands forward into tabletop. And from tabletop, I invite you to extend your left leg strong and straight behind you, and then begin to get motion in the foot and the ankle, rolling the ankle a couple of times, pointing, flexing, and then begin to walk or step your left foot forward to the outside of your mat and the outside of your hands. From here, you may wish to have palms down, take fists, or take your blocks underneath your hands as we move into this dragon form. Feel free to fold to your forearms or to stay nice and tall. And just find whatever feels comfortable and right here as you sit the hips down. You can also roll onto the pinky side edge of your left foot, opening a little more from the hip. And whether you're lifted in the upper body or folded, take your time to breathe, to notice any sensation as it arises with mindfulness and acceptance. Maybe to take a full breath in here and to sigh it out. And you might do that again, inhaling and sighing the breath out. And returning to your natural breath as you perhaps take a little twist in the upper body, bringing the left hand to the left hip. And then returning both hands down to the mat. As you do this, you are welcome to begin to toe heel your front foot over to the opposite edge of the mat, moving into pigeon as you extend your right leg back and perhaps begin to fold here as well, breathing into the outer left hip. You can rest your forehead on blocks, on stacked fists. You can stay lifted more. You could also rest on forearms. We'll be here for several moments. And if you ever need, you can begin to shift this position if it is too much for today to a seated posture, coming to a figure 4 as you cross the left ankle over the right knee and fold. If you wish to take it a step further, you can also bend the right knee and bring the left leg a little closer, just deepening that stretch in the outer left hip as your hands reach behind you. whichever form you're taking, feel free to stay as you are. If you're in this lifted figure four, you can rock side to side. And as we pause for several moments here, I invite you to listen to the words of this poem called Each Moment is Precious by Patricia A. Fleming. She says, live in the moment. Just take it all in. Pay attention to everything, right there and right then. Don't let your mind wander to what's coming next. Cherish this moment and give it your best. Don't let tomorrow make you rush through your day, or too many great moments will just go to waste. And the person you're with and that moment you share, give them all of your focus. Be totally there. Laugh till it hurts. Let the tears drop. Fill up each moment with all that you've got. Don't miss the details. The lesson is there. Don't get complacent. Stay sharp and aware. It can take but a moment to change your life's path, and once it ticks by, there's no going back. In just 60 seconds, you make a new friend, find your true love, or see a life start or end. You become who you are in those moments that you live, and the growth is not in taking, but in how much you give. Life is just moments, so precious and few, whether valued or squandered. It's all up to you. Take a moment just to notice anything that is highlighted or stands out to you in that poem, making the most of each precious moment. And when you become ready, if you're in your figure four, you can stretch your right leg forward, stretch both legs forward and shimmy out the knees. If you're coming out of pigeon, you can curl your back toes under, lift off your back knee, and maybe stretch that leg behind you. And we'll all return back to a tabletop, taking hips side to side, maybe taking a nice big circle in the back body. And any other stretch you need before extending your right leg back behind you, pointing and flexing and rolling your right ankle. We'll switch sides as we bring the right foot forward to the outside of the hands. Sink into the hips. Allow your right foot to be at the edge of your mat. And once again, you have options, taking a variation for this hip stretch. You can roll onto the pinky side edge of your front foot. Perhaps uncurl the back toes. Feel free to fold onto forearms to stay tall, lifted on fists or palms. Focus your breath towards your hip flexors here. Staying present with yourself. You might even find that sighing breath, focusing your attention there, taking a full breath in, slow breath out, and again, inhaling, exhaling, and then beginning to shift into your twist if that feels right to do, bringing the right hand to the outer right hip. And then we'll all begin to toe heel the front foot to the opposite edge of the mat, coming either to your pigeon, taking your right knee outside of the right wrist, bringing blocks to rest under your forehead perhaps, or just folding towards the mat onto your arms. Feel free to use a pillow underneath your outside right hip here for extra support. And once again, if pigeon is not the right form for you today, you can come to your seated space, crossing the right ankle over the left knee, and then perhaps folding forward, or even drawing the sole of your left foot to the mat as you draw your legs closer to you, hands supporting you from behind. Fingers can face away or towards you. If you're taking this lifted figure four, feel free to rock side to side. For this hold, I invite you to choose a word, an image, or a phrase that may be significant to you, that may be an intention, that may be something that keeps you grounded. And through this hold, allow that to come to your mind. And anytime your mind starts to wander, simply repeat that word, reflect on that image, repeat that phrase again and again, using it as a guide and an anchor in this time. When you're ready, if you're in your figure four, you can stretch your left leg long and begin to stretch both legs forward, shaking out the knees. And if you're in pigeon, you can curl your back toes under, lift off the back knee, and stretch it out in a way that feels best for you. And then we'll all begin to come to a comfortable seated space, taking any wrist stretches that you need, fingers down and out on both sides, using your opposite hand to stretch through the tops and backs of the hands. And then we'll begin to take a couple wrist rolls and take the right arm over the heart and then behind the back. Take a side stretch from here over to the left side. Anchor through both sitting bones, breathe. And then we'll come back through the center, open the arms wide, and take the opposite arm across the heart, and then behind the back body. Side stretch over to the right side, holding the left elbow with the right hand. Good. We'll come up through the center, open the arms wide, and bring the hands together in prayer hands at the heart center. Just taking a moment to center in. And then we'll make our way down towards the back body. Feel free to use any props you need, such as a pillow underneath your head if you would like that. And then begin to walk the vertebrae down towards the mat. Take the shoulder blades a little closer. Line up the hips. And then you can begin to bring soles of the feet to the mat, knees pointed up. And perhaps rock the knees side to side. Allow the knees to fall as much down as you would like. And you can even pause on one side and the other for a couple of breaths. Just continue this windshield wiper motion in the knees, or this pause on one side and the other, allowing the low back to release. Feel free to bring one hand over your heart and one hand over your belly. Take your time here. And once again, you may find you wish to use your sacred image, word, or phrase as your anchor if your mind starts to wander. And then wherever you find yourself, if you want to come knees pointed up or have your knees over to one side, just begin to take your head slowly side to side from the left to the right. You might do that a couple more times. And then when you're ready, we're going to move into a bridge form, just lifting the pelvis up for a couple of breaths, realigning the hips, and then taking your knees over to the opposite side from where they were before. Once again, if it feels better to keep your knees pointed up straight, or walking your feet to the edges of your mat and allowing your knees to fall in towards each other, that is welcome here. Hands can rest at the sides or be over the heart or belly. And allow your breath to become like an ocean wave as you breathe in towards the belly and allow that breath to expand up through the lungs. And with your exhale, like an ocean wave receding out and down. And as you breathe, feel free to begin to move your head side to side once again, allowing one ear to fall to one side and then the other to the opposite side, taking your time, seeing if you can slow this motion down, staying mindful and connected to your experience and to your movement. Good. If your knees are to one side, you can bring them through the center. You might take another brief bridge, lifting the hips and aligning them. Settle the hips in and then begin to draw the knees in towards the belly, giving them a hug and rocking side to side. And if you want to take that rock into circular motions, you can begin to draw circles with your knees, one at a time or both at the same time, getting a little low back massage here. Allow this movement to be natural and at ease. There's no right or wrong. And then from here, we are going to just begin to bicycle the knees a couple of times before then reaching for the left foot and left leg, coming to a half happy baby. Right leg can stay bent or stretch long on the mat as you're reaching on the outside of your left foot, knee staying bent in, opening the hip. Good. From here, we're going to hug that knee back in and just allow the knee to come out to the side for a moment. You might even draw circles in your left knee and a little bit more love and care into that left hip. And then we're going to slowly begin to step the left foot back down to the mat. Bring both feet to the mat and then begin to reach for either the big toe or the outer edge of your right foot, coming to half happy baby here. Sole of the left foot can stay rooted, or you can stretch the left leg long on your mat. If you wish, you can also simply take the right knee in your right hand, open it out to the side, or perhaps draw circles with this knee in that motion in the right hip and the right leg. Good. As you make your way to a place of completion on this side, you can begin to take the sole of the right foot back to the mat, take the sole of the left foot back to the mat if it's stretched out, nice and long, and then begin to come into your final resting form. That might be Shavasana with arms and legs stretched out. That might be coming to a reclined butterfly with soles of the feet together, hands on the belly or on the heart, or even one over the heart and one over the belly. You can also take your psoas muscle release form with feet to outer edges of the mat, knees falling in and supporting each other. Feel free to explore any of these forms and come into a form that's most restful to you. If you'd like to shift over to one side, using your pillow as a support underneath your head, you're welcome to do that as well here. In whatever form you choose, begin to settle in to a comfortable space. Begin to steady your breath. You might even take a full breath in and sigh a breath out. And I invite you to release any additional tension you might find between your eyes or eyebrows as you soften your facial muscles, muscles around the cheekbones, and as you release your jaw away from the roof of your mouth. Allow your heart to be open, your belly to be soft, your arms and legs completely supported, and your hands and fingers, feet and toes, effortless and at ease, as we practice the art of sacred rest and of surrender. I invite you to slowly begin to deepen your breath, and then to make any slight motion that may be comfortable to you, such as wiggling fingers and toes, or taking your head slowly side to side. And you're welcome to stay as you are for a few more moments, or if you prefer and you're not there already, you can turn over to either side of your body, resting your ear on your arm and cradling around your heart space. And as you become ready, you can guide yourself back to a comfortable seated position as we draw our hands together at heart center. Take a moment here to take a final full deep breath in and slow breath out. Take a moment to recall any of the benefits of your practice, internal or external, any points of gratitude, any images that were soothing that stood out to you, whether through our guided imagery or the anchor you chose today. And you might take a moment to reflect on how you can carry these with you on your journey off the mat. And I thank you once again for sharing in this practice with me today. And grace and peace be with you always. Shalom and namaste.